today on Rappler.
The Philippines is probably the only country of which we have increased the growth forecast as opposed to other places in the world where we actually decreased our forecast.
IMF Chief Christine Lagarde says the Philippines is a success story in fiscal reforms. President Aquino certifies the sin tax bill as urgent, ensuring its passage as early as Monday. And Hamas militants fire rockets at Tel Aviv, the first bombing of the city since 1991. Hello, I'm Ayi Makareig, sitting in for Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. IMF Chief Christine Lagarde calls the Philippines a success story in fiscal reforms, showing countries like Greece what belt tightening can do. Catherine Visconti reports.
Emerging Asia's countries, such as the Philippines, have been playing a critical role in the last few years.
A meeting between one of the most powerful women in global finance and President Benigno Aquino was canceled because the president is sick. Still, International Monetary Fund Chief Christine Lagarde is all smiles as she holds a press conference with the president's economic advisors. Lagarde is touring Southeast Asia to talk to allies. The lender faces resistance from rich countries over similar austerity measures it prescribed to developing countries in the 1990s. Greece has debts equivalent to 170% of its economy. Its leaders are against reforms that would cut the debts to 120% by 2020. The Philippines followed the IMF, and it now has debts equivalent to only 2% of the economy.
We are looking forward to continuing our partnership with the Philippines in a different setting and status.
The Philippines pledged $1 billion to the IMF this year to help ailing European countries. It's a role reversal for a country dependent on IMF loans for over 4 decades. Lagarde says Asian countries who pulled out of the crisis can now teach a thing or two to European countries. She pays Vice President Binay a visit and asks for continued support helping Europe. Her visit emphasizes the Philippines' growing power in the global economy.
And you will be interested to know that this year, 2012, at a very difficult time because of the financial crisis in other parts of the world, the Philippines is probably the only country of which we have increased the growth forecast as opposed to other places in the world where we actually decreased our forecast.
The IMF expects the Philippines to grow almost 5% this year as rich countries slow down. Her meeting with the president may not have gone as planned, but Lagarde certainly seems bent on keeping the Philippines in her plans. As European countries face more tough times ahead, the economic success stories of countries like the Philippines may show what reforms can do for their future. Catherine Visconti, Rappler, Manila.
President Benigno Aquino III certifies the Senate sin tax reform bill as urgent, ensuring its passage as early as Monday. The bill's sponsor, Senator Franklin Drilon, says the certification will allow the Senate to vote on the measure on second and third reading. He says the Senate can go into a vote and ratify the bill on Monday. But Senator Bongbong Marcos doubts the bill will be passed that soon. Marcos says he and several senators still plan to introduce amendments to the measure. Drilon's bill aims to raise an additional 40 billion pesos in revenues from tobacco and alcoholic products. A social weather stations or SWS survey shows Filipino teenagers will only be discouraged from smoking if cigarette prices go up. The survey was conducted at the height of deliberations on the sin tax bill in August. The survey's 1,200 respondents are aged 13 to 17 years old. 8% are current smokers. 28% of the smokers say they will quit if the price of the cigarette stick increases to 10 pesos. 16% say they will quit if prices increase to 5 pesos per stick. Current prices of preferred brands are 1 peso to 3 pesos per stick. The survey is commissioned by Health Justice, a group watching the tobacco industry in the Philippines. Commission on Elections Chairman Sixto Brillantes Jr. slams an opposition Solon for allegedly spreading rumors on problems in the printing of ballots for the 2013 polls. House Minority Leader Representative Danilo Suarez filed a resolution for the House of Representatives to investigate alleged irregularities in ballot printing. Brillantes says Suarez is talking about rumors. In various interviews, Suarez says the COMELEC should handle the printing of ballots instead of the National Printing Office. Concerns over the printing of ballots rise after an initial test by the NPO. A YouTube video shows precinct count optical scan machines rejecting 60% of sample ballots in September. NPO Bids and Awards Committee head Sylvia Banda says that YouTube video was edited. Hamas militants fire rockets targeting Tel Aviv in Israel, killing 3 Israelis and sparking panic. As Palestinian deaths from continuous airstrikes rise to 19, Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak gives the go-ahead for 30,000 reservists to be called into service. Israeli news networks say this is the first time rockets had been fired at Tel Aviv since the 1991 Gulf War. Hamas militants say they hit an Israeli drone Thursday with a surface-to-air missile east of Gaza City. Israel's military campaign against Gaza began Wednesday with the targeted killing of Hamas commander Ahmad Jabari. Egyptian Prime Minister Hisham Kandil arrives in Gaza Friday after Israel agreed to halt its campaign against militants during his brief visit. A celebrated American general faces a sex scandal. Rappler's editor-at-large Marites Vitug talks about the accountability of public officials in issues involving their private lives. Here's her video blog.
A smart, accomplished woman, Paula Broadwell, and the most celebrated American general of his generation, David Petraeus. Petraeus was credited with turning around the war in Iraq. He was a fast-rising star, even considered by some as presidential material. Broadwell and Petraeus, a biographer and her subject, 2 star-crossed lovers. Their relationship led to the fall of the head of the world's most sophisticated and powerful intelligence agency, the CIA. Petraeus resigned early November after the FBI uncovered the affair amid fears of the security risks it posed. Surely Petraeus is not the only ranking public official in the U.S. who stepped down after an embarrassing extramarital affair. By leaving, these officials acknowledge that their indiscretions have harmed their office. They take accountability seriously. In our country, the inevitable comparison has to be made. Have any of our officials resigned because they were found to have mistresses or lovers? On the contrary, they thrive. Former President Joseph Estrada is the best living example. Our society, though Catholic, doesn't frown on extramarital affairs. There's a layer of hypocrisy underneath our religion. We don't demand honesty from our officials' private lives. But what happens in the bedroom cannot be completely isolated from one's public duty.
Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 7, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will testify before Congress on the attack on a U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya. Leaders of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs say Clinton commits to testify after an internal review of events is finished by mid-December. Congress is probing the CIA's handling of the attack that killed Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 others. At number 8, resigned CIA Director David Petraeus says he never passed classified information to Paula Broadwell, the woman he had an affair with. In his first interview after the scandal broke out, Petraeus also says his resignation had nothing to do with the attack on the U.S. consulate in Libya. He says his testimony before Congress on the attack will push through on Friday. The fallen general maintains the affair was a personal failing, and he is lucky to have a wife who is far better than he deserves. And at number 9, U.S. President Barack Obama's digital fundraising for the 2012 presidential race outperforms his online campaign in 2008. Obama raises $504 million online, up from $403 million in 2008. Total campaign funds are calculated to reach $1 billion, breaking the 10-figure milestone for the first time in history. Obama's small dollar fundraising through email, social media, mobile, and website during the final months of the race is credited for the breakthrough. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. The Philippine Ozcals proudly heads to Bangkok after a resounding 1-0 victory over Singapore in Cebu City Thursday in their FIFA-sponsored international friendly. Marwin Angeles scores his first international goal for the Philippines in the 54th minute. But the night superstar is goalkeeper Edward Zacapaño, who made several crucial saves in the game. Rappler brings its Move.ph chat series to Silliman University for Move Dumaguete. The chat series, dubbed Social Media for Social Change, aims to inspire young minds to interact and participate in nation building by providing a credible, creative, and interactive platform through social media. Rappler CEO and executive editor Maria Ressa spearheads the event with her keynote address about the power of social media. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click on how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page, which crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that got the most clicks. Today's mood navigator is a good wrap of the big stories on Rappler for this week. If we look at the story that got the most votes, it's Cayetano to force Senate vote on RH, a story from yesterday, which had 88% of people voting happy, 5% annoyed. Another story that was voted as happy is also RH related. Don't force your niqab on us, CBCP. You have 64% happy, 22% annoyed, 7% angry. But if you look at the mood navigator as a whole, there are still 4 angry stories from the stories in the past days. The story on 4 columnists exposed for similar syntax articles has 76 people voting angry. A similar story is also voted as angry. And still, the big story of the week, Senator Tito Soto says, "I am sorry to the Kennedy family." 86% angry. FOI is dead, 100% angry. This all contributes to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. That's Rappler's newscast for today, Friday, November 16, 2012. Visit Rappler.com and watch your newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Ayi Makaraig, and as we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today. Happy weekend.